All right, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I'm always thrilled when we talk about arts in the Bronx, and I'm even more particularly thrilled when we talk about the Kingsbridge Riverdale Van Cortlandt Development Corporation, otherwise known as KRVC. So let's welcome Shari Hall, who's the Associate Director. Nice to see you, Shari.
Hi,
Thanks.
Gary. Nice to see you too.
And we have artist and also a community organizer, Denis Haxhija, who is going to show off some of his stuff. Nice to see you, Denis. Shari, let's just start with you. Talk to me about, so KRVC is a development corporation, but you have this whole thing with art, and you have called the office space, very small office space, but you've turned it into a gallery at times. Talk to me about Gallery 505. What's it about?
Well, Gallery 505 was founded in 2019, and we wanted to focus on, you know, local established and emerging artists, from the Bronx. And we feel that culture, is vital to the community. Art and music create conversations and bring people together and create connections. And it's an escape for people. It takes you away from your everyday life, work and responsibility. And so we
I think, Shari, I think it's interesting because people know the Development Corporation, and you work with businesses and you work to stimulate businesses. I always think it's very smart thinking when an organization like yours says we want to include art in this, mosaic, so to speak. What does art do? I mean, you started to say it, you started to answer the question, but what does art do to KRVC in terms of broadening, your offerings and kind of engaging people?
as I had mentioned, it brings people together. It creates conversation. It makes connections with people who you may not necessarily meet under other conditions. And it's nice. It brings young and old uh, people in the community to a space to enjoy different things. And we also want to support the arts.
Right.
Which is important.
Certainly, my thought is that it makes it easier to do the kind of work you do when it comes to development or supporting organizations. You bring all those people in, and all of a sudden they're partners with you, as opposed to, oh, that's an interesting development, your corporation. You know what I mean? It really engages them in their minds and who they are.
No, exactly. In fact, I can't tell you how many times someone walks by our office and comes in and they ask, "Oh, are you new? How long have you been here?" We've been there since 2015 in that space. Before
10
that,
years. Yeah.
KRVC itself started on Broadway above Mavis. It was also 236th Street in 1981. I was not there, of course. None of us were there. But
Well, I can tell you this. My father was there.
oh,
So there you go. My father was one of the board members way back when in the 80s.
actually, your mother was,
My
wasn't it?
mother, well, he passed, and then we don't have to go into my whole
Yeah,
family
no, I
history,
remember your
but
mother.
that is what happened. He passed, and she
You're
took
right,
up the.
and I did know her. I
There
did.
you go.
know her.
Anyway, so now let's see. We have an opening reception on Thursday, March 20th, and that features our buddy Denis Haxhija. There is the flyer for it. The exhibit will run through the 10th, which is actually starting a little earlier than the opening reception, through May 1st. Denis, let's just talk about you as an artist. Explain to me about how you got into art. You and I met because of kind of your community work. And then I had no idea that you also were somebody who did this stuff. So let's just talk about you as an artist.
I've always had an enormous love for art. It was always a side hobby and a passion of mine. From a very early young age, I was always sketching, drawing, ships, cruise ships, and architectural drawings, etc. And then during COVID, in the pandemic, you had so much free time to do all these little things that you don't really get to immerse yourself in. So I took the hobby of painting, and I would paint a lot during quarantine. Just order canvases in bulk and just let my imagination run away. Once you put that, brush on the canvas, it's your story to tell. So you're in charge of it. I've always had inspiration from, Michel Delacroix, Paul Delvaux, Florian Stettheimer in terms of the places aspect of my art. But then in faces, Hopper, Warhol, Lichtenstein, more of that pop art, 60s, 70s style. So, art has just always been a big, hobby of mine, big interest.
One of the things that resonates to me right away, and I have other examples of it, but the pandemic, as difficult and as horrible as it was, it took the lives of obviously so many. It also gave people a chance to do stuff that they otherwise might not have done. And you are probably as good an example of that as anybody.
For sure. I mean, I got to teach myself tennis and new styles and techniques of art and hiking in places where I never would. So obviously,
I don't want you to be out here. I don't want you to be out here rooting for another pandemic so that you can focus on.
Oh, no. God forbid. No. That's way past us now. So just looking ahead. But yeah, I then took that into hobbies, and I also started teaching art to school-age children at a learning center in Marshall that opened just for kids that were in remote learning. Because, remember, for a year, 2 or 3, kids did not have access to the art. So I would go in once or twice a week and do different lesson plans. I'd also coordinate with Lisa Cooper from the Next Door Gallery, Elisa Contemporary Art. I'd also host a lot of paint and sips at my co-op. All of them would be sold out. It would be a lot of fun.
Wow.
Sometimes there'd be a little more drinking than painting involved. But
is this some reception of Faces and Places, the solo exhibition that's going on that will have its opening reception on March 20th? Is this like the first time you've had a gallery like this, or have you displayed before? I just want to get where it's at in your artistic life.
Definitely. So this is my first solo exhibition, just myself.
And thanks Shari and my friend Laura for putting that together. That's wonderful.
And Nina, yes, I'm very grateful for all of them. I have displayed at other shows such as the Pequot Library Show every year in Southport, Connecticut in Fairfield County, and then the Mamaroneck Artist Guild in Larchmont up in Westchester. I've also displayed at the New York Public Library in North Riverdale. And then
so you've been around a little bit, but this is the first solo one. All right, let's take a look. Yes. I mean, Shari, are you ready? We're going to take a look here at some of that. You've seen it already, I'm sure. But let's go ahead, Anderson, roll the magic pictures here. Well, so here you go. What materials is this? Is this pencil?
This is acrylic on canvas.
Okay.
So this is a scene based on Lyford Cay in the Bahamas, which is a hidden enclave, and they have a very special country club that's shaped, the center of it is shaped like a circus tent. So it's a very vibrant, very unique and interesting display. This is supposed to be a typical party scene. And instead of just doing a typical blue sky with sun, I thought to make it a little bit of a stormy, cloudy sky, just add some character to it.
Were you there, Denis? Were you there and saw that? Or is this from memory or from a photograph or something like that?
That's actually from a photograph from a friend. Most of my paintings are from firsthand experiences and recollections. This one isn't, however, but most of them are.
So I was right for asking that question. All right, fair enough.
Yes.
Let's put up another one.
This one's actually from a photo from a trip, St. Lucia. I thought this was very simple. It's on a very small canvas, but I love how the colors contrast from a little bit of a sunset sky behind the main point in St. Lucia. And also, of course, the aqua in the foreground.
Yeah, I like very much the waves. I like very much the waves, that it wasn't just a sunny, placid day. You could tell that it had a little weather going on.
You get to play around with the ripples like that, little details.
And these are all acrylic on canvas?
Most of them are. Then there's some that are oil on canvas, which is, of course, more tricky. And then also some mixed media collages.
Okay, let's take another look. Speaking of collages.
Yeah, so, I'm a huge lover of Italian culture, food, music, fashion. So I have this as a homage to Italian culture. This is a mixed media on a wood panel. So you're going to see some typical, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana advertisements. There are also some, cards from Arthur Avenue businesses. And
I was going to say, I see Mario's down there.
Yes, that's very special and near and dear to my heart. So this is a bit of, you get to play around and make it your own. It's very fun.
Okay. I don't know how many more we got, but we got 1 or 2 more.
Yes, this is a scene that I witnessed firsthand, Worth Avenue in Palm Beach down in Florida. This is my favorite town in America. I think there's something very, very special about it. It's kind of like a fairy tale. So every square inch of Worth Avenue is paintable. I mean, everything. There's just the aroma, the colors, the architecture, Mediterranean, Italian. Everything was built in the early 1900s. I really love this scene, how it captures just one still shot that I captured myself from a trip last year.
Did you set up an easel and do it like there, or did you like get the mental picture, or even take a photograph and do it later on?
Take the photo and then do it at home in my studio.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
I think we got one more to show. Let's take a look. Well, this
Yeah,
we know.
this is a little more of a pop art. The Hershey Kiss. This, I was looking at a Hershey Kiss one day, and it's just such a simple but interesting wrapper. I'm like, let me put it in the foreground with some type of pop background. Think kind of like Andy Warhol, but more of an object based. So I love the way this is actually an oil. So this took quite a few days because you have to do it in stage and phases so it could dry.
So each
You have
one
to be
dries.
very,
Yeah.
very careful, especially when you're mixing or intertwining paint on top of another paint.
Well,
So yeah.
the artwork is simple and communicates. And Shari, how many paintings do you know? How many are up there, or going to be up there?
Not yet.
25,
We'll
30.
find out when he comes in. We have 2 wall spaces devoted,
I just want to urge people to get over there and see it. Remind me, the address, I guess, is 505, right? That's where it comes from, Gallery 505.
505 West 236,
West 236th Street.
off of Riverdale Avenue.
Right. The opening reception is Thursday, March 20th. Oh, there it is. The exhibit will run for a bunch of days. There's a little more information about our buddy Denis. Shari, last question, then it goes for you. What's next? You looking for more artists? I mean, how does it work? You just find people in the neighborhood, they come to you? How do you come up with this stuff?
A little bit of both. Nina Velasquez is our art program director, and she helps curate. She has a bunch of people scheduled. There's people we come across, people she knows, from her artist endeavors.
Right.
And
So that's good. So listen, I just think it's great that a development corporation has that broad vision to incorporate other things, to bring people in and understand that development is not only, putting up brick and mortar and stores and stuff like that. And it says a lot about who you are and what the folks over there at KRVC are about. And Denis, more of the same. We want more. That's what I'm telling you. So let's get through this one, and then we'll get to the next one. And we appreciate your time on the Bronx Buzz this evening. So thank you both very much. We appreciate it. That will do it for our show this evening, folks. You know what we always say: if the creek don't rise and the curtain don't fall, I'll be back next week. That's how it works. So we'll see you soon. Good night.